Mikkola?
Yeah, we think he's going to be okay. Yeah.
Second time now in recent history where Boqvist come into the lineup and had a big game for you guys coming off the bench. Just how impressed were you with his game tonight? Just how big was his game or goal to break the tie there?
Yeah, it was really important. The game was pretty tight through 2 periods. When I say I'm impressed with his game, there's an expectation of what he can do. It's good that he's come in with Barkov, I think, in both games because it's a certain style that he excels at. But as good as that is for him, it's also good for all the other players that aren't in the lineup right now. They see how important you are, how critically important you are. So you say to all those guys, stay ready. And the other thing we say, well, you've been ready. You did it all year. We went through just about all these guys, played really important roles for us. But it's good for them, for the guys watching the game, to see how important it is that you stay right.
Hey, Paul. Brad was talking before about the mindset going into an elimination game, and he said, in the back of his mind, he's going to think there still could very well be a Game 7 in this series. Is that the sort of mindset that you need going into a Game 4?
It can't be the first time your team's heard that. If you get up 3-0 and you, but we've learned. I hope we're going to find out if we've learned.
Right side.
Certainly. No, I'm not done. That was a good question. Unlike the one previous. Kidding. No, but you know what? Like we got up 3 Toronto 2 years ago and wanted it so bad that we tried to win the game on every play. And I think we kind of learned from that. And then you saw last year, it beat 8-1. It's the same idea. They have the desperation advantage. You have potentially the desire advantage, just the achievement idea that you get to move on. And both teams will fight that. Like that will be on display in the game. Can we control the desire emotion, play the game? Can they control the desperation emotion and play the game? So what the common denominator is, you just got to play the game. It's just hockey. There's nothing else to this game but hockey, but neither team's going to feel that coming to the rink.
Back right.
Paul, for so long, South Floridians have revered Heat culture with the Miami Heat. And not that it's a competition, but do you think it's time that Panthers culture gets a spotlight? And how would you describe Panthers culture?
I think there's room for all of us down here, certainly enough people. I think it's a great thing that you have sports that are foundational, football, basketball, baseball, and then the new sport, hockey, and there's room for everybody there. So how about we just share it? We share the spotlight, we'll share all of it if there's ways. And there's a story there somewhere. Bill Zito, very involved with management, when I say involved, connected to the management of other sports, and it hasn't been so much for the coaches, especially in basketball, because their seasons run concurrently. It's 82 games. There's not a lot of time for phone calls, but between the Dolphins and the Marlins, Bill's been kind of involved. Best practices. I know that our team services people get together, right, to scout out the best of things when we travel. There's room for everybody here. We're happy to be a part of it.
Marlins culture too. I mean,
is Jessica here?
no, she's not.
She'd like to see you in the hallway,
Yeah,
mister.
probably.
I like her chances, just saying. It's just the shirt, George.
I know, another one. What was the feeling like on your bench there going into the third period? It's a tie game. Carolina's sticking around. You get some breathing room on Jesper, and then 3-1, 4-1, 5-1.
They're not sticking around, George. They're playing the game that we expected to play. The emotions of playoffs are different. So when you have the first two that we had, certainly the second, the way it went, it's so much closer than you think. And if it wasn't in one game, it doesn't matter. Because when they come back in and you play the first 2 periods the way those are played, that's a tight game. And that's what we would expect. So when we're going out into the third, we're not thinking it's going to change anything. You're looking for a break. And then once you get to 2 and 3, but once you get to 2-1, the game's has to open up for them. And they're dangerous with that game. They're good at it. And at 3-1, then the game has to open up. So what happens from 2 to 3 and then on doesn't matter, because it's not the way this game starts the next game. It goes back to the first period here. So we're not going out to the third period and saying, well, we can tell this is going to work out well. We're expecting this thing, I got an extra piece of gum in my pocket for the second overtime. That's how what our experience with Carolina is. We went to 4 of them, right? So she'll be tight right from the start.
Take a few more for Coach, front right.
Paul, for 3 years, you've talked about how the room is a player-led room and how you're fine with that.
Needs to be.
When the confidence is as high as it seems to be in there right now, how do you pick your spots on what to say and how and when?
I go into the room and just try to be mindful that I tell the truth. So what we see on the ice or where they're at, be as concise as possible, be as predictable in terms of how long you're going to talk. You never want to say something brand new, right? The foundation, what you say on the first day of training camp has to be true in the last game of the year. That's the challenge. So at some point every year, the players take over the bench, they take over the room. Even when they know the matchup, if I didn't say a word, they'd all know going out who's going next. That's when it's good. You just try to monitor it. I've got about 4 or 5 things that I have to be right on or better consistent with. And the accountability of those things has to be true for what's true for Barkov has to be true for Samiskevich. Other than that, I drink coffee and swear.
Take 2 more questions, left side, second row.
Paul, how pivotal was the kill on the 5-minute major, especially no Reinhardt, no Etu, to be able to kill it off with the game 1-0 at that point?
It's a real inflection point in the game because of those 2 guys out. They're critical. Both Reinhardt, part of the Barkov pair, and then A2 is not known around this league, but he should be. He's a heck of a player. And to have those guys out, but you got Boqvist comes in and Rodriguez come in and Nosek takes more minutes, and that's kind of where you get to in the playoffs. Somebody else has to block the shot. Somebody else has got to do it. And then when you're on the bench and they do it, you get this bounce from it, right? We had some action on the kill at the start of the second one. It might have been our best chances of the game at some point. So those guys, those are really important minutes for them. And then also confidence in your depth. It's going to happen again. One of your killers takes a penalty for 2 minutes. It doesn't phase your bench.
Last question, back right.
Hey, Paul, you have a group of guys that go into this game confident. They leave it just as confident. But is there any level of surprise at any point when you see them go off the way they did and you see that final score?
No. What we're really good at here, and you had Sasha Barkov up here. He's so good at tone setting, but it's easy for him because that's exactly who he is. That's his personality. So when we talk about handling our day, we've lived it for 3 years, so there's nothing new. I don't think the final score, the game got away from Carolina in game 2, partway through it. We were really good early, and it got away from it. Tonight, that's the series the way we expected to go, the first 2 periods. That's the series. So they aren't all fired up in that room. They're not just going to go home, get something to eat. We won't bring them out of bed too early. We'll do this whole bunch of stuff that I don't even know what they do at the other end of the building. To be honest with you, I don't go down there. They'll recover. That's what I call it. And then enjoy that day. Enjoy that day with each other. They're not going to be on a high. They're not going to be moving on. It's Saturday, right? Today? It's going to be a good Sunday. That's it. We'll have a good Sunday.